Good evening, traders. It's 9:04 on Tuesday. I hope everyone had a profitable day trading. I'm looking at the E-mini futures as of right now. And we had a big up day. We had the ICSC Goldman store sales come in this morning, which were pretty good, and then the red book, which was better than expected. I think more people watch ICSC only because it's Goldman rather than the red book, because they calculate them a little differently. You could research that a little more. Me personally, I do watch all of the economic indicators. I don't just set my alarm when I'm trading just to be cautious. I actually know what's going to happen. I know beforehand what to expect going into the meeting. So if it's good, I'll have my long positions ready. And then we had this morning starting to take place going on through today, the FOMC meeting. Now tomorrow, a couple things you need to watch out for. Early in the morning we have MBA purchase applications. That's at 7 a.m. so it's going to drive a little bit of volume going in to the market open. Then we have EIA petroleum status report. That's at 10:30 a.m. You might want to watch the crude and see how it is and how it participates after that 10:30 a.m. report. Then the FOMC meeting announcements at 12:30 tomorrow, followed by Bernanke speaking at 2:15. So it's definitely going to be a good day trading. Maybe not so much after 11 going into the 2 o'clock when Bernanke speaks, but after that you'll probably see a little volume pickup going into the close. Alright, so earnings today. We had Buckle report, Carnival Cruise Lines, and Jeffries this morning. Carnival beat. Excuse me, not Buckle, Barnes & Nobles. They actually pulled back a little bit. And then after the close we had Adobe, J-Bill Circuit, J-Bill beat, and then we had Lazy Boy, which didn't have a lot of volume. I really didn't see that. Tomorrow morning, as far as earnings goes, let's look for A-Power, symbol APWR, CarMax, symbol KMX, and FedEx. FedEx is probably going to be the stock that I'm most interested in trading, but I'm going to sit probably 10-15 minutes out and just see how erratic the tape's going to be, because usually when you have a big stock like that report, you really want to just take a step back, because there's going to be institutions really involved with that tomorrow. Another thing to note, they might miss only because of gas prices have been so expensive, and it would be reducing the profits that they made. Okay, so anyways, the minis, it's not showing up the trend line on here, but you could clearly see we have a downtrend that we tagged, and it just seemed after we hit that first high that they were going to try to retest the 1292, which we did. I actually got long at 1285 two contracts, and I sold it around 90 earlier this morning on the minis. Now I'm going to pull up a daily chart so you guys can see what I'm looking at. So the last video I did talking about the market, I told you to watch the 1268 on the minis. Over 1268 we would get a lift off, and that's exactly what happened. You could view my previous video just to see that that's what I said. The 1263 was the level, and then the 1268 kind of trading in a range. When we held that, I'll pull up a smaller time frame. When we held that, you saw a more significant move. Very strong tape today. A few individual stocks that I want to point out. Cena. Check this move out today. Up 14 points, closing almost at the highs of the day, flirting with this internal trend line dating back from the 147.12 high. Now, will I get involved with this to the long side? Absolutely not. Tagged this resistance, pulled back just a little bit. I'm not interested. If you didn't catch this today, then you missed the move. All the Chinese internet stocks were in play. The reason for that is because they were shorting them aggressively because of all the fraud allegations and everything going against that. So now that that's out of the way, maybe they'll consolidate a little bit, drift a little bit lower, and then you'll see some more buying when some more clarity comes through. Apple, which is the most weighted stock in the NASDAQ, is something that you should have on your watch list even if you don't trade it every single day. Huge up move, 10 points, and we're bouncing off of the 50 moving average right around 314. So you got a beautiful move today, pure technical. Now you want to see the 326 level. If you're over it, maybe you get a little consolidation and move higher. If you're under it, it will probably move back down and lead tech stocks lower. Time will tell if this little rally here is going to be a fluke, but the next level we'll watch would be 1300 to 1306. That's if we break out of the downtrend line on the minis. RIM, which I traded today, made about 145 on RIM today as far as day trading. Had some nice action. Let me pull up the intraday chart. Alright, here you go. So off the open, we pulled down a little bit. Let me zoom in. Right down here, we put in the low right a little above yesterday's close. And then ever since then, they rocketed this thing up about 2.5 points to close it at highs. And I actually caught this little move at the end, which was a pretty decent move. So as far as RIM goes, check this out. Usually when a stock misses earnings bad, you won't see this kind of buying take place a few days after. So tomorrow for RIM, we're definitely going to have to watch that prior high, which seemed to be resistance around this 28.5 level. Then of course you'll go for the gap fill followed by the 30.64. What would I do tomorrow? Well, obviously over 28.50 I would look to be a buyer, and under that I would try to trade the range between 28.5 and 27.35, which was Monday's high. Alright, so now I'm looking at gold futures. Now we see here we have this rising channel that has been predominantly in control over this entire rally. Now we're flirting with the 15.5 level. We're still above that rising up channel. So if we could get over 15.5, there's a good chance we could shoot over the 1577. Goldman Sachs is even calling for 2000. If they're saying it, then you could pretty much count on us going there, since they are the market rulers of the world. So right now, short term, I am bullish on gold as long as we're above 1525. Now I know that's 20 points down, but as long as we're holding that and still continuing to get buying pressure every time we approach this down channel line, then you would want to be long gold. Crude oil. So I made a lot of money trading crude yesterday. I'm going to show you why. I got long crude at the open yesterday, and my target was 95. So let me go a little longer out. So what I was watching as far as crude goes is this down channel, and then I had this 92.20 level as a reference point. When we tagged that, that's really where I wanted to start getting long, and then 95 just made sense because we've been trading in $5 increments this entire move over the past 4 months or so. Alright, so I want you guys to do something. When you go to the gas pumps, I've already showed you, you can look in prior videos how to calculate the retail gas price. In my area, at least in around Ormond Beach, Florida. It's right close to Daytona Beach. Gas is still up. It should be a lot lower than it is right now. I'm still paying $3.85 for diesel. Diesel should be around $3.60 right now. So what does that mean? That means if it remains like this and crude remains down, you're going to want to look for ExxonMobil, because if they're selling gasoline, refined gasoline, at higher cost, then they're most likely going to beat on earnings. Okay, that's just a rule of thumb. If you're a crude trader, then you obviously know that already. I'm not telling you anything new. It's just something that I wanted to point out. All right, so Netflix, we sold off after we hit the 277. Interesting to note here. Look at this bearish engulfing pattern, which proved to be very prevalent during this descent down to the 247. Then we went below that. Okay, so this is going to be pretty simple here, this Netflix. We're trading in a range obviously between 253 and 247. Now what you want to see, if you're familiar with candlesticks and patterns recognition, then you would know that a technical alert would be set over the down day. You have your down day, then you have your bottoming candlestick, and then you want to set your alert right here for a technical play up to the prior resistance. So let's make it simple here. Above 247.5, you could trade Netflix to the upside. I'm not sure how high it's going to go, only because there's a little bit of fundamental damage taking place here. They were out of service. There's been outrages and everything else. And on the other hand, you know that there's a lot of people wanting to short this stock. So be patient. And if you do want to get short and you think that it's going lower, even though we just put in a higher low, wait till we get below 247.5 and then go lower. Alright, so the last stock I'm going to look at here is SIRI. I had a subscriber ask me a question about this a little while ago. Sorry I'm late getting to it. But what do I see? Okay, so looking over here on the weekly chart, obviously the 25-week moving average is ascending. We tested that, now we're moving back up. I'd want to see us close above the prior week's high for me to get interested and hold above 2. So it's going to be a pretty simple trade. Above 2, continue to trail your stop and continue raising it as the stock moves up. Below 2, maybe you should start to be a little hesitant, because it did run up fast and ran down even faster. An interesting thing to note as far as this Sears goes, when we started bottoming of March of 09, I was long, I think it was 40,000 shares of this, and it couldn't get going, and I was just panicking because during this time they were saying that the company was going to go bankrupt because we had all the problems with GM and the other car dealerships. So I got panicked out, and then you see that could have been a nice little profit there. But that's okay. You'll always have stocks that get away. And if you're having a hard time trading, just know that if there's people, your friends, your family, it's even harder when your family tells you, look, you're not going to make it. Successful stockbrokers are very smart. They have large IQs, and you can't make it without being on the inside. Now, you have to have some kind of information, not necessarily in advance, but you need to know what's going on. And there's enough information for you to become a successful trader. So don't listen to that, guys. If you want it bad enough, you will get it. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times before he created the light bulb. And he is one of the most famous inventors ever to live, if not the most famous. So you could go broke 20 times, but if you want to be a successful trader bad enough, that 21st time you're going to get up and you're going to make it. And you're going to feel so much gratitude, and you're going to prove everybody wrong. but just have your strategy and your goals in line. Have your goals written out of exactly what you want. Okay, if you're happy making $100 a day, if that's your personal goal, then write it on paper and write down the steps that you're going to have to achieve in order to reach that goal. So I'm going to cut the video now. I'm going to keep doing these little strategy updates for you, these short videos. And you guys have a good night, and I will talk to you tomorrow.